For today's double indie game review, we are taking a look at two very solid takes on action, with the swashbuckling action hack and slash of En Garde, and then Mega Man X meets Grapple with Gravity Circuit. We're kicking these off with En Garde, or very much could be described as like an Errol Flynn simulator. When the evil Duke is causing mischief and havoc in the city, it is up to Adala here in order to hack, slash, parry, and dodge her way around, as well as maybe find some romance in order to save the town from the Duke's villainy. The vibe and aesthetic of this game could very well be described as like 80s or early 90s like action or like cartoon. Everyone is very polite to each other, no one actually gets killed, no matter how many swords that get stabbed, cannonballs in the chest, blown up by grenades, or get knocked off giant cliffs into the water down below. The main element of the combat here is in the use of environmental objects. You are able to interact with almost anything on the field, knocking enemies back in order to stagger them, use boxes or things to take them off their game, leaving them more susceptible to damage. You will also need to properly parry in order to set enemies up for quick kills, and you'll unlock a variety of kind of special moves as the game goes on. The kind of interesting aspect of En Garde is that you are always going to be outnumbered, and you have to make use of the environment in order to whittle out the crowd or separate enemies from one another. As the game goes on, you'll be introduced to new enemy types that will have specific rules for engagement, such as one enemy who you must parry all their attacks properly in order to actually wound them or set them up for a greater hit. There are a few boss fights here and there, as well as collectibles and bonus challenges. The general combat in this game I really do like. It all flows really nicely, and the game certainly rewards you for learning its rules and making the most out of the combat and the environment itself. In terms of length, the game feels like it's just right. I think we went through the whole game in about like 3 hours, give or take, and it's long enough that I think you get a full meal, but it doesn't feel like there's any padding or the game is just kind of forcing you to do things just to add more to the length. This is a very impressive game, and it is one that after playing the demo and now playing the full game I really enjoy, and I hope that the developers continue to grow this kind of combat system in whatever they're going to do next. So if you do like your action with a whole mess of environmental fun and surprises, then this one gets an easy recommendation from me. We now go to Gravity Circuit. In this one, it is the far future. We have awoken after being disabled as a robot for many years to find that our former friends have all gone to the dark side. The city of robots is in peril, and we are going to have to take them on one robot master at a time. The gameplay here is definitely reminiscent of Mega Man X, as you will dash, wall climb, wall jump, and move as quickly as you can around the different levels. Now, the kind of unique tech in this one is you also have a grappling hook. This can be used to pull enemies close to you, which you can then throw them at other enemies. You can hook to walls and ceilings, and use it for movement and platforming tech. Now, unlike the Mega Man games, your primary attack is melee, and there are additional powers and abilities you can pick up along the way as well. And the interesting twist here is that beating the boss of each area doesn't necessarily reward you with like a new gun or a new special, but it unlocks the ability to buy these kinds of moves and passives at the game's kind of quote-unquote shop in your hub. So this is not going to be, I think, you're not getting as overpowered in this one compared to, say, some of the earlier Mega Man style games. Levels are full of secrets, as well as hostages to rescue, health upgrades, and so on. In terms of the difficulty, this game I would say is on the moderately difficult to challenging side near the end of it. Again, because your main attack is melee, it means that you always have to get close to enemies in order to do any real damage. But in a game like this, where enemies can, of course, just touch you in order to hurt you, it can become a little bit frustrating trying to get attacks in and not get a counter in return. And this especially comes into play, again, at the boss fights, where they are just moving, jumping, and doing all that around. I will say that the final boss is definitely a major difficulty spike for the game. It does get quite hard near the very end, but the flow of the gameplay and just how responsive everything is certainly helps Gravity Circuit overcome some of those issues. So I enjoy this one, and if you are a fan of the Mega Man X style of side-scrolling action, then this is another easy recommendation. The game does feature multiple difficulty levels as well, so if you don't want to be like me and play on the highest difficulty, you can still enjoy the game on normal and so on. So with that said, that's going to do it for both reviews. These were both played with press keys, and I'd like to thank developers for providing them. If you let me tickle your own games, they don't have to involve swashbuckling or swinging, then please reach out. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games.